The ancient Egyptians have immortalized themselves in posterity with incredible culture, as well as massive buildings. Though the ancient age of pharaohs have passed, that civilization still is fascinating and full of secrets. Archaeologists are working on excavating secrets of the pharaoh's inhabitants that are still hidden but sometimes find nothing. Still, they don't lose hope, and the extremely rare discoveries are here. So let's dive into the video to know these discoveries. Here we go. Discovery of the silver pharaoh, Susinnes, with riches that rival Tutankhamun. In 1940, during the Second World War in Western Europe in Tanis, Egypt, thousands of kilometers away from the war, Pierre Monet, a French archaeologist, discovered a rival made by Howard Carter almost 20 years before. News of this great find didn't create a buzz among European society due to the conflict within the continent. However, the discovery by Pierre Monet during World War II Eve was that of a tomb of a little-known pharaoh of the 21st dynasty of ancient Egypt by the name of Susinnes I. This pharaoh was the third ruler of the dynasty and came to power at the beginning of the Third Intermediate Period, the period of Egypt's instability. During the Third Intermediate Period, the kingship of Egypt was fractured, and the nation was divided between Lower and Upper Egypt. While the pharaoh of the 21st dynasty ruled from Tanis, their power was limited to the delta of Lower Egypt. On the other hand, there was the domain of the high priest of Amun, based in Thebes. With the weakened country, it is logical to expect that the pharaoh of the 21st dynasty didn't wield much power, and the discovery of the Susinnes tomb disproved the entire assumption. The incredible find in Susinnes' tomb was his coffin of solid silver. Hence, he has been dubbed a silver pharaoh. For ancient Egyptians, gold was regarded as the flesh of the gods, while silver was for their bones. Unlike gold, silver was unavailable in Egypt and had to be imported abroad, perhaps from the Mediterranean and Western Asia. This signifies that silver was a commodity of greater value than gold. Hence, the silver coffin of Susinnes reflected the wealth that he had commanded. Additionally, the metal objects found in the tomb, including the silver coffin, are high quality, indicating that Susinnes commanded the manpower required to produce such items. The silver coffin of Susinnes was discovered within the pink granite coffin encased in the granite sarcophagus. The granite sarcophagus also belonged to a 19th dynasty pharaoh, Merenptah, who was also Ramesses II's successor. The mummy of Susinnes has not survived the ages, and Monet also discovered black dust, some bones, and funerary items like a spectacular solid gold mask or gold mummy board that would have covered the face of the pharaoh. The lack of preservation is not so surprising as the environment he was buried in. Unlike the arid desert environment of the Valley of the Kings of Luxor, much of the lower Egyptian comprises swampy and humid land. Tanis was no exception. The mummy of Susinnes would have been destroyed by the water seeping through the ground. Most of the wooden objects were destroyed with time, like canopic jars and non-perishable goods that Monet found near the sarcophagus of Susinnes. Nevertheless, these objects were precious and rivaled the treasures of Tutankhamun himself. The power and wealth of Susinnes may be attributed to his remarkably long reign, recorded by Manetho as 41 or 46 years, while some Egyptologists also believe that Susinnes reigned for 51 years. The length of his reign was indeed impressive. However, per the objects found in his tomb, it seems like the situation of the Third Intermediate Period of Egypt during Susinnes I's reign ought to be reconsidered. Baka Pyramid. The unfinished Zayed el-Aryan's northern pyramid is also known as the Baka Pyramid. Also, Egyptologists and archaeologists use the term the Pyramid of Bicaris to describe a massive shaft part of an incomplete pyramid at Zayed el-Aryan. Archaeologists believe it dates back to the mid-4th dynasty, the reign of the Old Kingdom, and the pyramid owner is unknown. Some Egyptologists also think it should be a king known under his Hellenic name Bicaris, perhaps from the Egyptian Baka. Meanwhile, on the contrary, Wolfgang Hellick and other Egyptologists doubt the entire attribution. The Baka Pyramid is one of the greatest mysteries of ancient Egypt. Archaeologists think that they were unfinished, and the only thing that is left today is the foundation. The town of Zayed el-Aryan, near the Giza Pyramid, comprises the remains of two obscure Egyptian pyramids, the unfinished and the layered pyramid. The pyramids were built during the 3rd dynasty, hence dating construction sometime around 2700 and 2600 BC. The layered pyramid was built by Pharaoh Kaba during the 3rd dynasty, and the site was excavated in the early 20th century. At that time, archaeologists discovered massive mastabas nearby that would have been dwellings for high officials. Therefore, the area of Zayed el-Aryan has the significance of an ancient royal. Moreover, historians and Egyptologists continue to debate the actual era of the Baka pyramid and point out various graffiti made of red and black ink found in the chamber and the descending stairway. Alessandro Barsanti, the team leader, also recorded around 67 inscriptions, but the primary problem is the accurate reading of the name found within 6 inscriptions. While the lower and second hieroglyphic sign is a Ka symbol, the first one is illegible. Unfortunately, Alessandro Barsanti, the excavator, made no facsimiles of the inscriptions and made hand drawings so that the hieroglyphic remains indecipherable. Consequently, there are various alternative readings of Cartucci names. Jean Philippe Lauer reads Bika, Kurt Seith reads Nebka, Caston Maspura reads Neferka. Wolfhard Westendorf also proposed a depiction of a giraffe, the animal seen as Betizine and wise with shamanistic powers. George Reisner and Georgine von Becker think the pyramid was initially planned to be the tomb of a well-attested prince of the 4th dynasty Baka. Aidan Dodson also saw a sitting seat animal and read the name found in the pyramid as Setka. Let's now talk about its location. The Pyramid of Baka is situated around 8 kilometers southwest of Geyser. It has a superstructure and a substructure. Well, the superstructure of the pyramid is indeed the square base designed of a natural bedrock and was finished. It measures around 660 to 660 feet and shows traces of the surrounding pedestal, preserved for the limestone covering. The exact planned slope and size cannot be evaluated because no covering blocks were found, as well as the pyramid pedestals were more massive than the base of the pyramid itself. Hence, it cannot be excluded that the planned size of the pyramid could have been smaller. Meanwhile, the substructure comprises a T-shaped shaft, the corridor on a north to south axis, and the chamber on a west to east axis. The finished shaft has no remaining ceiling, and it might be possible that it never had any. The steep stairway leads down to the chamber at half its length, and the stairway comprises the horizontal surface for an unknown purpose. The shaft walls were smooth but were never covered with stone, and the chamber was unfinished. The chamber's floor was the only finished part and was covered with 4.5 meters long and 2.5 meter thick granite blocks weighing 9 tons each. An unusual vat was found near the western end of the chamber. It's oval in shape and was embedded into one of the stone blocks constituting the chamber floor. It seems the vat was brought into the chamber during the construction since it is too big to fit through the passageway. The vat measures 2.22 meter width, 3.15 meter length, and 1.5 meter depth. The oval lid was discovered in situ, indicating that the vat was found sealed. As per Alessandro, small traces of the substance were found inside the vat, but they could not examine them closely, and today they are lost. The complex of the pyramid. The pyramid's alignment is similar to that of the Djedefre pyramid. It comprises an enclosed wall of 465 meters to 420 meters within which the mortuary temple should have been. However, since there was no construction for the first layer of the pyramid, the surrounding complex was left unfinished, and there was no traces of the causeway, valley, temple, mortuary temple, or cultic building. What about its research history? Well, the first depictions of the monument were made around 1842 to 1846 by Carl Richard Lepsius, the German Egyptologist. He investigated the primary shaft as well as its surroundings and marked the pyramid in his pioneering list as Pyramid the 13th. Alessandro Barsanti, an Italian archaeologist, examined the pyramid shaft closely. Later on, the Director General of the Supreme Council of Antiquities of Egypt visited Alessandro's excavations and was struck by the monumental size of the unfinished construction. Barsanti undertook the work on the site, but World War I brought all the excavation to a halt. Hence, nothing happened on the site until 1954, when the site was required for the popular film The Land of the Pharaohs. Since 1964, the Baka pyramid has been laid within the restricted military area, and no excavations are allowed. The necropolis surrounding the pyramid is overbuilt with various military bungalows, as well as the shaft is misused as a local dump. Are you surprised by these rare discoveries in Egypt? then be sure to smash the subscribe button to acknowledge more rare discoveries like these that have been kept secret.